Welcome, and thank you for being here with us for our live screen discussion, Finding Hope Through the Holidays. I am your host, Corrine Lamarca, of Jennifer's Messengers, sounding the alarm on marijuana impaired driving. Our goal is to have a conversation about walking through the holidays with the loss of a loved one, being separated from your loved one due to the effects of marijuana, or for any reason, or for maybe just dealing with somebody who is in active addiction within your home. Please meet my friends and key members of Every Brain Matters. Hello, Bart. Bart Bright is with us today, and he has suffered the loss of his son to marijuana. And below is Mary Mass, and she is living with an active addicted loved one. So we're going to give you three different perspectives today. I don't know if you recognize me from previous things I've done on Jennifer's Messengers, but I lost my daughter to a medical marijuana impaired driver back in July of 2012. So I'd like to start out a little bit today about talking a little bit about myself and a little bit about the experience I've had with the holidays. We're not prepared for these type of things when they happen to us, and there's no book about how to get through the holidays when you've lost a loved one or things have changed radically in your home due to a loved one in addiction. For me, I used to try to run away from Christmas holiday and Thanksgiving, and I would just try to get far, far away, or I would just kind of ignore it. But the one thing that I did one year was I said, we're going away to the Caribbean. We're getting out of here. I don't want to be here. I don't want to be around Christmas. Well, the funny thing was, every island we stopped at, there was a Christmas celebration. And that was about 5 years in after losing my daughter, Jennifer. And I realized that you cannot get away from Christmas. It's more about how to learn how to find joy within it again. So I have strived very hard, and it has been a lot of work. A lot of the things that we do to overcome grief over the holidays, we think are just going to happen to us, but sometimes they take a lot of work and a lot of planning. And so, Bart, why don't you tell us a little bit about what you've gone through and how you've dealt with it, and maybe explain a little bit about your son.
Oh, yeah, thanks, Corey. I really appreciate being here and being able to tell my story. So what happened is our son started using when he was 15, and he kept calling it his medicine, and he kept building up a tolerance. So even though he did have times when he was sober and wasn't using, and was doing actually healthy activities, he would unfortunately end up going back to it over and over. And each time we went back, again, because he built up a tolerance, he'd use higher and higher THC cannabis products. And he got to the point where he was using about 70 to 80% THC products many times a day. He started having cannabis-induced psychosis more and more. And he actually tried to die by suicide 3 times. And then, unfortunately, the 4th time, he did die by suicide. And that was in 2018. So obviously, very devastating. And what, my wife and I decided to do was to try to learn everything we can about the drug and its effect on especially the developing brain until people are about 25 or 26 years old, and also see what we could do to try to help others who were in a similar situation. And so anyway, by doing a bunch of service work and volunteering, that has really helped me whenever I, again, try to help others. And I think one of the things that I do is try to not have expectations, because I do hope for things and I do try to work for things. But when I expect like it's going to go perfectly and everything's going to be fantastic, that's when I pretty much every time it doesn't go as perfectly as I've created in my brain. And so then I have all these resentments. So one of the sayings I kind of try to live by is expectations are resentments under construction. And so I just try to, hope for things, work for things, and just take it one day at a time.
Oh, well, thank you, Bart, for giving us a little bit of background and also the inspiration of how you've learned how to deal with it. That
Yeah.
that you said a lot of key things in there that I have found to be true too.
Yeah. Thanks,
Mary,
Corinne.
would you like oh, you're welcome. Mary, would you like to tell us a little bit about your situation and how you're dealing with it?
Yeah, so my son just turned 27, 2 days before Thanksgiving. He does live with us. He's in active addiction. Let's see, he graduated high school in 2014. So and then he left for college that fall. And as best as we can decipher, he started using pretty heavy, probably his first year, towards the end of his first year. And I believe by his second year, he was in active psychosis. We had no idea. So when he finally had a complete psychotic break, we thought we took him to the hospital, and I asked the ER doc if what drugs did he have in his system, and she said, "Oh, he just had THC." And I remember thinking to myself, oh, thank God this isn't a drug problem, and having no idea the effects of THC. It took us 2 years before we found a doctor that said, this is from the cannabis.
Mm-hmm.
So, and then from there, I met Aubrey Adams and have been connected pretty much to her hip. And yeah, so here I am. Thank you for having me.
Oh, you're welcome. And I forgot to mention in the introduction that I am substituting tonight for Aubrey, who lost her internet connection for the entire day. So we hope that she gets back online soon. We'll miss her for sure. So let me ask, kind of just throw out a question here. Do you find that there are certain triggers for you that when you go out into the world that trigger you about the situation that you have to deal with every day? Because for me, especially during the holidays, it was my daughter loving Christmas music. And she was having surgery one time, and as she was coming out of the anesthesia, I said, "Can I play some music?" And she goes, "Oh," and it wasn't Christmas time, and she just wanted to hear all these Christmas songs. So we played them for her, and she smiled. She was just coming out of anesthesia, and I thought it was the sweetest thing. But afterwards, after I lost my daughter, wherever I was and I heard Christmas music, it triggered those emotions in me. And I mean, I'd been in the grocery store and had to just push my cart aside and run out because I would go to pieces, and I'd be in the mall and have to just get out of that mall as soon as I could. But I mean, I'm learning how to deal with it. The time has helped, and I try to just block it out now. And that's kind of how I deal with it. But do you have any similar things like that, Bart or Mary?
Yeah, for me, at first, when I would get together with family, actually any time, but especially during the holidays, and they had all their kids and their relatives and all that, and happy and healthy, and no one was addicted
Right.
to anything that I know of anyway, and it just seemed like things were just going really well for them. Yeah, I felt sad, and I felt like a victim.
Yes.
And it's like, but what about my family, And so as I worked actually a 12-step program, and went to meetings and spoke to other people in similar situations, over time, I got to the point where instead of thinking, woe is me, and having a pity party, and feeling kind of, envious, I actually started becoming happy for them. But at the beginning, like I said, it was kind of hard to see. Part of me was happy for them, and part of me was sad for me and my family. And again, the more I do what I can to help others in the 12-step programs. The more I talk to people like us who get it, and that type of stuff, the happier I am for others, and I can genuinely just make the best of the holidays.
Mary, do you have anything
Yeah.
similar?
Well, Bart, you brought up, some things too about just feeling super jealous about other families. I struggled with that for a long, long time, especially during the holidays, and their family gatherings look
Yeah.
so perfect, and yeah, and I remember, like, I have this picture of my family sitting on the couch, and we had all the dogs, and the 6 of us and the dogs, and Adam he was baked. And
Mm.
that it brings a lot of sadness when I see that picture. So yeah.
So for me, there's certain things that we don't do anymore, and we had to develop new traditions, and that was hard for me. Like I said, when the holidays, usually you just flow through the holidays and you invite people and it's free flowing, but I've learned that you have to have new traditions. So and it's okay, and I feel like it's okay, like if I want to go skiing on Christmas Day, instead of sitting down to dinner with a bunch of family, or we all go skiing. Have you had any other traditions like that? I feel like anything's okay that makes you feel better when you're going through this. So,
Mhm.
any other ideas?
Yeah, well, no, I totally agree. I think it's okay to be where you are. So if you just don't feel like celebrating the holidays in the same way that you used to celebrate, and then that's okay. I think it's important not to feel guilty and just be really good to yourself and practice self-care. So if you want to go, somewhere, and again, let's just say you want to go camping, let's say
Right.
somewhere, and or you want to take off, and do a travel or whatever you want to do. Uh, you just have to take care of yourself. And I think another thing is for me to just try to be healthy as far as
Go ahead.
exercising or walking, or working out, playing tennis, those types of things, because eating healthy, and that's the more I take care of myself, just like they say in the airplane. If I put my oxygen mask on first, then I can be there for others. But if I don't, that's not a good thing.
Mhm. Absolutely.
Yeah. So I mean, you can have tradition, but if you want to, develop new traditions, and that's fine too, if it helps you cope. And you need to take care of yourself as well. You need to practice self-care, which is a difficult thing to learn how to do, especially if you're taking care of someone else all the time who is in active addiction, or you still need to take that time out for yourself and make sure that you have and it doesn't matter what it is. It can be going for a walk, or go get a massage, or whatever it is, just something that makes you feel good. Do you two practice things like that? Yeah.
Well, and actually, we had a 4th of July that when my son was arrested, and my husband and I shut all the windows and turned on fans, and we went to bed, and that's okay. It's okay
Yes.
to do that. So
Yes.
yeah.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
think there is a lot of guilt involved, and it's something that we have to learn how to deal with and realize that what we do is okay, and we don't have to be worried that it's not okay with somebody else, because we have to take care of ourselves, like Bert said. I mean, Bert. I just renamed you, Bart. Okay. So do you have any interesting stories that you think would help other people in their journey, in their grief journey over the holidays? Anything that was really inspiring to you or made, because for me, I found, for a couple of years, I went and worked in a soup kitchen, and I served meals at Christmas time to others, and that was the biggest amazing evolution for me, that when I help other people, I was helping myself, just like you said, Bart. That is so true. And so I started doing that a lot, helping other people during the holidays, and it was amazing.
Yeah, I think for me, when I help other people, I get out of my head.
Yes.
And sometimes my head is a bad neighborhood to be in alone. And so by being out there and helping others, that definitely helps me.
Yeah, for sure. And that's why, like, I'm pretty active in Maranon, and we're having so many new members and people joining our meetings, and it just brings me back to, when all this first started. And not that I have any answers by any means, but it's I think good to help other people and help them navigate these beginning steps. So
Yeah,
yeah.
I think it's important that you bring up the organization Maranon, because I think that the more support that we have, from different, from friends, from maybe a personal counselor that you see, from a support group like Maranon, all very important in our recovery and our growth when it comes to grief.
Mhm.
Exactly. And I also think taking care of yourself, as far as if you talk to somebody and they, let's just say you mention, THC or cannabis or marijuana, and they say, oh, that's, not a drug and it's no big deal and it's harmless. Then I just, will change the subject to the weather, or just say, I need to go now. And so you're not getting in an argument over it. And again, protecting yourself, having, your healthy boundaries, because it's doesn't help me to talk to somebody who's in denial,
Mhm. Yeah.
Yeah. And I mean, I'm happy for them if they don't have a loved one that's been negatively affected from, again, the high, THC, products that are out there these days. I mean, I'm happy for them, but it doesn't help me talking to them if they don't, I don't have any kind of, support from them, or again, they're, totally in denial, and they're, kind of, adversarial.
Yeah,
Mhm.
adversarial, definitely. Yeah, I think, you just keep bringing up these great points, Bart. But
Thank you very much. Thank you
the
very much.
fact the fact that we have to protect ourselves, and I didn't know that, and I ended up getting hurt and pushed around a little bit out there, because I didn't realize, well, maybe I shouldn't be doing this yet. I wasn't ready. As we go through this, we're ready for different things at different times. So I
Mhm.
think you do need to protect yourself, you know,
Yeah.
definitely. You need to know when those situations are not for you, and you need to walk away and worry
Yeah,
about yourself at that moment.
actually, that's a really good point. So having a plan, a backup plan. So if you go to an event and you think it's going to be, good and supportive and all that, and it ends up not, for whatever reason, you're getting triggered for any reason, have a backup plan. Like, okay, I need to go now, and so if that means you have to have your own car, your own transportation, or have your Uber app ready or something, then I think that's important.
Yeah.
You agree,
Yeah.
Mary? Yeah.
Oh, totally. Yeah.
Yep.
And even having, like, if you don't feel like you can host a Christmas dinner, going someplace where you can trust everyone there, and then you can leave when you want. You don't have to kick people out of your house, because you can
Right.
just go home and Yeah, and then like Bart had talked about before too, with expectations, keeping your expectations in check. Um, not expecting perfection, because it's not, it won't be perfect.
No. Yes.
So
Yeah, the thing you said about expectations, very, very true. We set ourselves up sometimes, when we have those high expectations, and we just keep them low for I mean, it's not that you can never have high expectations, I think, but just keep them low for now, and, try not to, because we ride a wave in grief, we're doing fine, and we think, oh, I'm doing really well today, or I did really well in that situation. And then the next time we go and we experience it, it's not, and you're thinking, I thought I had grown. I thought I had reached the next plateau, but it's up and down for a while. Do you feel that way as well? Have you had those experiences?
Oh yeah, and I think that a lot of the things that work for me, 365 days, out of the year, work for me during the holidays. So having a list of people I can call, or text, who get it and understand. Now I've gotten a long list of people who not necessarily have lost their loved one to the high THC, psychosis or suicide, but are being effective in a negative way. So I can call them, and again, if they're not available, I have a list of a whole bunch of people who will help me out, and I'm there to help them out. So again, whether it's the holidays or not, I think a lot of the same stuff that works, the rest of the year does work during the holidays too.
Yeah, absolutely. Taking care of yourself, eating healthy. It's so silly, but sometimes we forget to breathe even. And just remembering to take that deep breath, and drink lots of water, and try and get a good night's sleep. For those that are like me and can't sleep, I always keep I have a Kindle, so I keep that on my pillow. And if I wake up in the middle of the night, and I can read for half an hour, and usually that puts me back to sleep. So, you just got to find these little tricks that work for you. So
Yeah.
I'm a little bit different than that. I actually like to get up really early in the morning and just have that quiet time in the morning to myself, to do what, you know, to be with my faith, to be with my thoughts, to meditate for a while. So yeah, we all find different ways of coping.
mhm.
Now, I have this one question that I know how I feel about it, but I think people might feel differently. I was wondering how you both feel about talking about your loved ones, that have either passed or are in active addiction with other people. When people say, "How are you doing?" or "How is your son doing?" For me, just to give you a little reflection about how I feel about it. I mean, my daughter was a beautiful young lady, and we had a wonderful relationship, and I still want to talk about my daughter, Jennifer, and I like it when people bring her name up and speak of her, or tell me a memory that they had, or just plain ask me, do you ever think about her? Do you ever have dreams about her? To me, I think that's very caring, and I like it, but I know that some people feel like they might be triggering sadness in me when they do this, but I like them to know that it is okay to talk about her. She was here, she was important to me, and we can talk about her. So how do you feel?
Yeah, for me, at first it was hard to talk about my son. It was just really difficult, and so I didn't really want to go there. I thought about him a lot, and I, um, had obviously a lot of sadness around what happened. But
Yeah.
now, again, it happened in 2018, so I do appreciate it when people bring him up, and I know it's hard because I know there's a lot of fear in people as far as what am I going to say, how do I say it, and all that. But I do appreciate them thinking about my son, and yeah, I'm really, yeah, it brings back nice memories, when he was little and all that type of thing. So just like you said, Corrine, he, had a lot of good years before he started getting heavily addicted to the THC. And I want to honor, him and honor those good times and honor what a, great guy he was. And so, yeah, I agree.
Yeah, I feel the same. I think for me, it's healthy to talk about it. And yeah, it's just good.
Well, I mean, and I think we should mention that it's okay if you don't want to talk about it too. It's one of those things where it's a personal preference. And you can tell people close to you, I just rather not talk about that. Or you can say, I like talking about that. You can let them know either way. So, and I have with my friends, I've let them know that I want her to be talked about, and I want you to ask me about her. And that is important to me, at least in my situation. So,
Yeah.
well,
Also, something that's kind of popped
yes.
into my head was that I think it's important for people to find the support that's good for them and that works for them. So
Right.
whether it's a support group, a 12-step group, or a good therapist, whatever the group is, again, because we're talking about cannabis, I think it's extremely important that the first question to get answered is something like, do you think THC can be a harmful drug? Because if you start seeing a therapist, and the therapist, I know of a therapist, I think she's coming around now because I'm sending her some, scientific information. But originally she said that she heard that THC is harmless. And so, she's a therapist, And she goes, oh, in Montana, we don't really believe that. And so I thought, well, I guess they don't believe in science in Montana. But anyway, the point is, main point is that I think it's really important that you find a group or a therapist or a church or some type of, even it could be just a couple other people that help you and help support you, through this difficult time.
Yeah,
Exactly.
I agree. Yeah.
I agree too. And again, it's different for everyone. If it's a healthy way to get through grief, then it's okay. For me, I had counseling for 2 years with a grief therapist, and and actually they wanted me to join a group after that, but I didn't find that I wanted to do the group. I mean, where a lot of people go on to that, that's their next step. I didn't feel that necessary to do that. So, and there are all kinds of things out there. There's grief, there's yoga, for grief. There's art classes for grief. There's all different ways to express yourself during these, trying times. And another thing I really learned is that you just can't let it happen to you. You have to develop a plan. You have to reach out for help, and it may not be right there. You may need to reach out. You may need to go do some research. And as far as a counselor, I found that not every counselor was right for me, and I had to interview some and really find someone that I felt understood what I was going through. And I did, and I found a very good one. I was very lucky. So. Well, I'm not sure how many are out there tonight listening to us, but we are live. So I was just wondering if anybody had any questions that they would like to put in the chat box right now, and we'll try to answer them. I'd also like to thank you both for being here. It's been a wonderful conversation before and after. And this is part 1 of our part 2 series. And we have another discussion with the next discussion is going to be with other family members, so we can learn different perspectives. We find healing in community when we relate to each other by sharing their experiences, strength, and hope. And that's what Every Brain Matters is all about, a community of support and advocacy. And please join us at everybrainmatters.org or follow us on social media to learn more about what's on our next live stream, Finding Hope Through the Holidays Part 2. So I don't see that we have any questions at this time. Would we maybe each like to take a turn and sum up what we talked about this evening and maybe add some helpful hints? And um, would anybody like to do that at this time? Mary, would you like to?
Yeah, I just want to share that there are a few books that I've read that really helped me. Um, and I was Google searching on my Kindle, or I was searching on my Kindle, and this free book came up. It was called The Face of Addiction. I don't remember the author's name, but it was really, really good, and just kind of gave a different perspective of addiction from people that had loved ones and people that um, were actually in addiction. So that was good. And then the other one that I'd highly recommend is The Lost Years by Kristen, and I can't pronounce her last name, but it's like Wandzilla or something like that. And that
Okay.
was really, really a good book. And just kind of, for those of you out there that have a loved one that's in active addiction, it's just a way to see how different people deal with that. And watching intervention helped me a lot as well. So
Thank you, Mary.
yeah.
Bart, would you like to have some last words?
Well, actually, I got a question. So this is from Heidi. How can we ask in a way that is respectful in case a family member doesn't want to talk? So how can we ask in a way that is respectful in case, oh, I see, a family doesn't want to talk? It's a good question.
It is. It's a good question.
Yeah,
I can't answer it. Can you, Bart?
I think you might want to, start out just saying something like, I'm not sure how to ask this. I care about you, and this is what I'm thinking. Or something like that. Just kind of almost like just let them know that it's somewhat you're not sure how to ask it, and then and you go, but I'm going to give it my best shot, and and I'm saying this out of out of concern and caring, and I guess that'd be that, but anyway, yeah, I think again, when people, especially when people aren't available to talk to, who would help you and be supportive, there's books that help, and I know you can Google information too. One of the books that we were given after our son passed away, it's called Healing After Loss: Daily Meditations for Working Through Grief. It's by Martha Hickman. So anyway, that's the book there. And
Thank you, Bart.
oh sure, Healing After Loss by Martha Hickman. And so that's been very helpful. And then Courage to Change is from Al-Anon, and in Maranon, so basically Maranon is for loved ones of people who have a cannabis use disorder. And we use Al-Anon literature, and whenever we see the word alcohol, we just change it to marijuana. And so Courage to Change has been a big help for me. Let's see, another book, it's called Opening Our Hearts, Transforming Our Losses. This is again from Al-Anon. And so, yeah, I think those are some good books, but I think the main thing is to find support, find loving support through, again, 12-step programs or a therapist or both or a church. Again, people who understand.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Bart, and thank you, Mary. I don't know. I think I've even learned a few things here, and I may have to pick those books up. They all
There you
sound
go.
really, really great. And even if I'm not feeling that great need right now, I may be able to help somebody else with some of the things in those books. So I really do want to take a look. Thank you so much for sharing those. And I don't think we have any more questions, so I'd just like to thank you both, and we'll be signing off until next time, part 2. Thank you so
Thanks,
much.
Corrine.
Thank you.
Thanks, Mary.
Thanks for
Bye-bye.
having us.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye, everyone.
Thank you.